When I was a junior at Harvard College in 1964, I volunteered for what was called the Mississippi Summer Project. It was an effort to support the work of organizers in Mississippi, African American organizers, who were challenging the racist segregationist regime there, trying to win the right to vote, the right to organize. And a call went out for support, for support of people from the North, black people and white people, in the idea that if people came from the North who the law covered, that might bring the law to Mississippi to protect the work of the African American organizers there. Now, we were all gathered in a place in Oxford, Ohio, at a school, getting trained to go to Mississippi for this work. And it was the night before we were ready to go. There were about 300 of us, and we got word that 3 of our party had disappeared. Andrew Goodman, Michael Schwerner, and James Chaney. They had gone down a week earlier to Meridian, Mississippi, and gone to check on a black church that had been burned out where civil rights meetings had been happening, and they hadn't been heard from since. Now, Bob Moses, who was the leader, our lead organizer, called us all together, and he said, "Well, we heard what happened with our brothers. We don't know exactly what happened, but we think we do. We think they're gone. We think they're gone." And sure enough, 2 months later, their bullet-riddled, beaten bodies were found buried in a dirt levee where the Ku Klux Klan had taken them after the local sheriff had turned them over to them. We didn't know that then, but we thought that was up. And so Bob said to all of us, "Look, I'd like to tell everybody you can just go home. Forget about it. But I can't. I need to ask you to go. But I can't take the whole responsibility. Everybody here's got to decide." The room was completely silent, and I just fell into my chair, deep silence, like, what in the world am I doing here? And I began to reflect on that. My father was a rabbi. We'd lived in Germany for 3 years after the Second World War. I'd met people whose lives had been shattered in the Holocaust, trying to find hope somewhere. My parents taught me that the Holocaust was a consequence not simply of anti-Semitism, but of racism. I grew up on stories of a journey from slavery to freedom, the Exodus story, and you had to sort of decide where you were in that. And as I'm reflecting, and others are reflecting, the room entirely silent, a young woman in the back named Jean Wheeler, an organizer for Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, stood up and she began to sing. They say that freedom is a constant struggle. They say freedom is a constant struggle. Oh Lord, we struggled so long, we must be free. They say freedom is a constant dying. We've died too long. We must be free. And as she stood up and began to walk out of the room, everyone filed in behind her. And the next day, everyone went to Mississippi. That changed my life, because it was in Mississippi where I found my calling for organizing, which would be the next 28 years of what I did.